Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Tammy from Nutmeg Notebook, and I just wanted to come on kind of do an impromptu little video with you this morning because I did some batch cooking this morning and I wanted to share with you what I did because we get a lot of comments and requests about batch cooking, and I know when you first go whole food plant-based it can be a little bit daunting because we're making pretty much everything that we use from scratch except for some condiments. But I want you to realize how easy it really is. So I got up at 6 o'clock this morning. It was too dark to go for my 4-mile walk right then, and so I thought, well, I'm just going to go ahead and get some batch prep done. And so the first thing that I always do is bake my potatoes, because once I get them in the oven, then it's hands off and I'm free then to go do other things. And so this morning I did Japanese sweet potatoes and I did Yukon Gold potatoes, and at the same time I also did an acorn squash. And so that just works out really well because all of these are in the oven at 400 degrees. And so the Yukon Golds take 1 hour. The Japanese sweet potatoes, these are really big ones. These took about 1 hour and 15 minutes. And then the acorn squash I did for 40 minutes. So at 40 minutes, I set 3 different timers. I use my Alexa, and I set timers for what time I need to take everything out. That way nothing gets overcooked. And so at 40 minutes, I went ahead and pulled out my acorn squash. At 1 hour, I pulled out the Yukon Gold potatoes, and then I let this go for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and then I pulled them out. And so I have a convection oven, and so it has 3 racks in it, so I can do 3 sheet pans of potatoes or veggies or whatever all at the same time. So that works out really well. So you're probably wondering, what am I going to do with those starches? So many different things that you can do. If you're watching, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. So the Japanese sweet potatoes, I like to cut these in half and then score them with a sharp knife diagonally going both directions. You kind of get like a pineapple pattern when you do that. And then I put them in my air fryer, which I have right back over here, my Breville Smart Oven Air, at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. And that will crisp up the skin. I like to eat the skin. I buy organic ones. I scrub them really good and they get nice and crispy. And then all of the natural sugars in the potato will rise to the surface and they will caramelize, and they are so delicious. So they almost taste like dessert when you do them like that. Now you can do all different kinds of things with them at that point. I can just eat them just like they are right then, or have them with my chopped salad, or sometimes I like to put something savory over the top of them. And so if you make some taco lentils or some curry lentils, or something with your chickpeas, a curry chickpea mixture with tomatoes, something savory over the top of them is really fun because you have the contrast of the sweet potato and then the savory soup or whatever you put over the top. Also, I like to take and cut them in half and then slice them about, between 1/4 and 3/4 of an inch thick, and I mean 1/4 and a half inch thick, and put them in the air fryer. Then they get really toasty on both sides, and I can put them in my chopped salads, and they are like croutons. They're so delicious. So you can also put a little bit of California balsamic vinegars over them. They have fruity flavors. Those are really nice. They have a pumpkin spice one, which is really nice this time of year. And then it truly does become like dessert. So good. Then for the Yukon Gold potatoes, I like to eat them just like this. They're so delicious. And I usually, when I pull them out of the oven, when I freshly bake them, I usually have 1 or 2 as a treat. I didn't have any today though, because as soon as everything got done, I left and went for my morning walk. Now, lots of different things you can do with these. You can go ahead and smash them just with the back of your hand and put them in the air fryer at 400 degrees. They're like mashed smashed potatoes is what I call them, and they will get all nice and crispy. If you want, you can just tear them in half and then smash them. You'll get more little crispy bits on them, or just cut them into chunks and air fry them. If you have bigger ones like this one, you can cut them into French fry shapes, and they do beautifully. I prefer them when I have pre-cooked them and then air fry them. I just think they get a lot crispier and tastier. So then I can dip those in some ketchup or mustard if I want to, or if I have my ranch dressing made, I can dip them in that as well. I can make what I call po nachos out of them. So I will cut them up and air fry them, and then I'll cover them with taco lentils and then some of my nacho cheese sauce, which I have here. I made this yesterday, and I was going to talk to you about this because I made it a little bit differently yesterday. I didn't have any potatoes baked or cooked to go in it, but I did have a sweet potato, a Japanese sweet potato, and so I used a Japanese sweet potato to make my chipotle nacho cheese sauce, and it is absolutely incredible. And so that was really fun to do. I've also done it with butternut squash. So that recipe you can find online. How to bake potatoes, I have on my YouTube channel. I did a whole video all about how to bake potatoes. So we like to take these and air fry them, put taco lentils over the top of them, then the chipotle nacho cheese sauce, some salsa, green onions, and some fresh cilantro. So delicious. You can also cut these up, air fry them, put them on top of your salad, and you have like potato croutons. They are so good. I love them as a side dish with a veggie burger. Just air fry them and put them with a veggie burger. And I like the ketchup from Well Your World. This is salt, oil, and sugar-free. I have a link below the show notes for you on how to buy the ketchup. Also for the balsamic vinegars, I also have a link for you for that as well. So these can go with you when you're going out to eat to a restaurant. Maybe you're going someplace with some friends or family, and you know you're going to have to just order a salad because they're not going to have anything vegan for you. I will go ahead and cut these up into chunks and put them in a baggie, season them with a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, and some black pepper, and then I can get a regular little old salad and I can put my potatoes on it, and they're so good. Then we also love to take these with us if we're going to be gone for a few hours doing errands and we know it's going to run over a meal time. Then we'll just take these. We can eat these cold. We think they taste really good. So, you know, you can put a potato in your pocket and always have something delicious to eat. You can add the starches to a bowl of beans and greens, and then you've made a complete meal. I also like to make twice baked potatoes. So sometimes if I had russets today, I would have baked russets, and then I'll take my ranch dressing and some of the chipotle nacho cheese sauce, and I will make twice baked potatoes with those. Just oven roast them. I have a video. I think I have a video. If I don't have a video, I have the recipe on the blog at Nutmeg Notebook. And so you scoop out the insides of them, mash them with some of steamed broccoli and some vegan ranch dressing, which the vegan ranch dressing, you guys, is amazing. And then stuff them back in the potato and bake them. So, so good. Now, the acorn squash, I have a recipe on the blog for making a quinoa curry mixture that I will stuff these with. So I will just reheat these in either the air fryer or in the microwave, and then I will make the stuffing mixture and stuff them with that, and we'll have these with a salad, and it'll be an absolutely delicious filling meal. So I have two versions of the stuffed acorn squash on the blog. So you would just put in Nutmeg Notebook and Google acorn, stuffed acorn squash, and it'll find the recipes for you. One is to make it a Mexican theme because I love Mexican food. And then the other is to do it with the curry. So delicious. Okay, so more potatoes. So we always make sure that we start the week with batch prepped salads, which I'll show you I have in the fridge, and starches. So a couple days ago, Tom made a great big pot of brown rice in our Instant Pot. We have a video for that, and we also have printable instructions on the blog at Nutmeg Notebook. And Belinda's here, and Karen. Hi, ladies. Good to see you. And we divide that up into 4-cup containers, and we put that rice in our freezer. Tom, would you grab me one of the freezer containers of rice, because I think we need one, and I'll show them what that looks like, honey. Thank you. And so as long as we have our starches ready, and we have salads, and we have greens, and we always have canned beans, then we know that we can make it through the week, because we can make meals with all of this stuff and be perfectly happy and satisfied. So what I have here is the oil-free oven roasted veggies. So I just want you to get a look at that. Oh, thank you, honey. So Tom got the rice out for us. So these, you can do so many different things with these oven roasted vegetables. I did 2 sheet pans of it for us today, and I just roll with whatever I have in stock, and you know what's in the refrigerator that needs to be used up. So today I had a yellow bell pepper, I had a red onion, I had my little tomatoes. In fact, if they start to get a little dried up, let me grab some tomatoes here. Let me see if I have one. When they start to look just a little puckery, you can see this one has some little puckers on it. See it there? It is not bad. It has just started to dehydrate. So think about how grapes turn into raisins. So it's just starting to dehydrate. So I had about a cup of them that looked like this, and some of them looked even worse. So I just cut those in half, and I included those in this mixture because I'm not going to let those go to waste. I'm going to use them, and they're perfect when they're roasted, when they're at that point. I have sweet potato, just the regular jewel sweet potatoes in here, zucchini, there's some yellow squash in here. The Brussels sprouts I also cut in half. My recipe calls for eggplant, but I didn't have any eggplant, so I just used more of the other veggies that I have. Then I also have Yukon Gold potatoes in here, and I season it really well. I have the recipe is on the blog, and also it's part of our batch cooking course. And I let this roast for about 40 minutes. The last 15 minutes, I had some asparagus that needed to be used up, so I just cut it on the diagonal and I threw it on top of the vegetables for the last 15 minutes, and they just got perfectly done, like al dente. So this can be eaten cold or it can be eaten hot. So we can reheat this. Oh, also I put some garlic in it too, some minced garlic that I had. I was going to show you. And then just roast it. And so it's very forgiving. You can use whatever veggies you have. So we do have a batch cooking course with Tami. We'll put a link to it down in the show notes, and we have a discount code, Nutmeg30. You can save 30% on it. And here's this recipe is included in the downloadable PDF that you get, and we just printed ours and then had it bound, which works out really well. And so this has lemon juice, chili powder, salt substitute, ground cumin, cumin seeds, smoked paprika, the fresh garlic, and then garlic powder and onion powder, and I put some freshly ground black pepper in it as well, and this is amazing. So what am I going to do with this? So we can serve this as a main dish over some steamed greens, and then although it does have some starches in it, we'll either have some quinoa or rice with it as well, and a big bunch of steamed greens. It can be heated up or served cold over a chopped salad. It makes the chopped salad taste absolutely amazing. It's just so delicious. or I might just have a bowl of it by itself with some vinegar over the top of it. So I like the California balsamic vinegars. I especially like the lemon with this, or the garlic, or the sweet heat, or you can just use regular balsamic vinegar over it as well, and it's really, really delicious. So and it'll hold up for 5 or 6 days. It won't last that long because we will eat it up, but and it's just so beautiful and colorful. And they say that we should eat the rainbow, and Dr. B, our gut health doctor, says that we should strive to get 32 different plants in 1 week. And this is how you do it. Make a medley like this, and then you get a huge variety, all the different nutrients, tons of fiber, and it's so delicious. So, oh, more people are here. Marie Green says, I sure wish I could like potatoes, but I don't. Growing up with boiled potatoes every night turned me off to potatoes ever since. Not a sweet potato fan. Thankfully, I do like brown rice and quinoa. I roasted the veggies at 400 degrees for about 40 minutes. So you kind of have to experiment with your own oven and see what works best in your oven, but that's what works well for mine. And also, you want to cut the vegetables up in about the same size so that they'll cook at the same rate. So plus, it just looks prettier when they're all about the same size.
Did you see Cheryl's temperature question already?
Yes, I just answered it. Okay. Thank you, Tom. Rich is here. Hello from Rich and Dixie. Hi, you guys. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so these are super easy, super delicious. You need to make these. This is a great way to use up your veggies at the end of the week, or at the beginning of the week when you have all that plethora of vegetables and you're like, what am I going to use these for? Make something like this. I know Dixie makes something similar to this frequently, oven roasted vegetables, and it's just a great way to use them up. Okay, so then this is beets. These are just fresh beets that I bought at Trader Joe's, and then I just trimmed them, and I used my spiralizer to spiralize these, and then I used my kitchen scissors just to cut them up. These are not cooked, they are raw. And then for this amount that I have here, which this was like 3 medium-sized beets, I add 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. That's it. That's all I add to them. And then these will last all week. Well, they won't, but they would. We'll eat them up before the week is out. And then I will just stir them every day. And I'll stir these before I pop them in the refrigerator again, so that everything gets immersed in the vinegar. And if you like pickled beets, you'll like these. So delicious. Now, if you wanted to, you could add seasonings to this. You could add some dried thyme if you wanted to, or some rosemary, or you could add some raw garlic if you wanted. We like it just plain like this, and then we like to take a spoonful of these and add them to our chopped salads, to the top of our chopped salads. We like beets. They're so delicious. They're so good for you. Anything that has a lot of pigment has a lot of nutrients and antioxidants, and this is just a wonderful way to have them. And I learned to do this from my friend Sia Hurst from 6D Living. If you don't follow her, you should. So she has a Facebook page, and then she also has the 6D Living website, so check it out. Now, when you're spiralizing, when you get down to the very end of whatever you're spiralizing, you'll have a little disc of it left. And so what I do is I just take and I dice that up, and then that goes in some vinegar as well. And again, it can just go on salads. It can go on a plate with other things. If you wanted to, you could heat these up, but we do like them just to be cold. Then today I also made some baked tofu. I was looking through my freezer hoping I had some tempeh because I really like tempeh, but I didn't have any tempeh today. and we haven't been to the grocery store yet. And so I had tofu. So I took, this is firm tofu. This is the tofu that our Costco sells, and it comes with 4 packs in a box. And I can't remember how much it is, but it's a lot cheaper than buying it at the grocery store. I did not even press it. I just used a kitchen towel and just pressed on it just to get the surface liquid off of it. But the firm or extra firm tofu doesn't have as much water in it as the softer tofus do. And then I marinated it. And so I just made up a marinade this morning, but I did write it down because oftentimes I don't. I just throw things together. So I used 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos. This does have sodium in it. I'm not concerned about sodium because I don't have high blood pressure and I don't salt my food, and anything that I cook, I normally don't add salt to. And so if I get a little bit of sodium from condiments, I feel like I'm perfectly okay. So I used 2 tablespoons of the coconut aminos, and then 2 tablespoons of Well Your World ketchup, and this is salt, oil, and sugar-free. I have a link below for you if you want to order it from them. And then I used 2 tablespoons of the hickory smoked vinegar. So if you don't have access to California balsamics, maybe you live in Europe, you can't get it, it's too expensive to ship it to you, you could use a regular balsamic vinegar, or if you can get one that's a little bit sweeter that has only 4% acidity, then they're a little bit sweeter and less tart, and you know, that's just very pleasing to the palate. And then you could use a little bit of the liquid smoke. So start with, like, you know, 1/8 of a teaspoon and then expand on that. How much will depend on your personal taste preferences. That's all I added, except for I did add a tablespoon of minced garlic, and which maybe you can see that on here. The pieces do have some of the minced garlic on it. Tom's not in here to zoom in. Where are you, Tom? And so then I just let it marinate in a dish for about 20 minutes, and then I put it in the oven at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. So if you want it to be more done, so the tofu's even more firm, you can leave it in longer, but this is how I like it. Now, this can be added to our chopped salads. This can go in a bowl to make what we call a nourish bowl with a grain. It could be oat groats, it could be brown rice, it could be white rice. If you like white rice, there's no harm in eating some white rice. We don't have to be purist here. Or you could do quinoa or millet, any kind of grain, whole grain that you like. And then you could have steamed greens with it. You could do broccoli or cauliflower, or you could do spinach. There you are. Have more questions? Thank you, Tom. Tom says the beets are so good, we like them on top of our chopped salads. It's true, we do. Yes, you can ask me questions in the chat if you guys would like. Just preface with a couple of question marks.
I'm upstairs.
You're on the chat?
On the chat.
Oh, well, I wanted you to show the tofu.
It looks really good.
It does look really good. It does. So the tofu can also be added to the veggies as well. So that with some extra greens or just a side salad can be really good. So if I left the garlic out of this, my grandkids would like it. And they just like to have tofu and some rice and steamed broccoli. So that can also be very, very good. So this is one of the containers of rice. So I just wanted to show you. Tom just pulled this out of the freezer for us. So this is what it looks like. And this holds 4 cups. So we have a video on how to make perfectly granular brown rice. or white rice in your Instant Pot. And then we just divide it up into these 4-cup containers and we put them in the freezer. That way we always have cooked rice. When we pull the last container out, then Tom makes another batch of it. And that way we always have that. If we have that, we have some frozen vegetables, and we have some canned beans, we can make a meal. So simple and easy. It doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be a lot of recipes either. Okay, so the other thing that I did this morning is I had picked up some berries. I went to Costco with our daughter the other day to help her get groceries. And so I just picked up some berries when I was there. This morning I did the vinegar wash on them. So if you're unfamiliar with that, I have a video on how to do that. And I gave them a vinegar wash that really helps them to last longer. So you know how berries will normally start to spoil in the refrigerator. These will last over a week after they've had the vinegar wash. So that's a really good way to make my berries go longer and not have them go to waste. So I gave them the vinegar wash and then I put them on a kitchen towel to dry. Now that they're dry, then I just have them in containers. If I have to put them away before they're completely dry, then I will just line the bottom of the container with a paper towel so that it can absorb the extra moisture. It seems like they do really well in the glass dishes. And if you have the big, like quart size canning jars, you can use those as well. And, you know, just put the lid on nice and tight, and that works really, really well. Okay, so I also wanted to talk to you about the Chipotle Nacho Cheese Sauce because I made this yesterday and we love it. It's so versatile. So like I told you, you can put it on the po nachos. And so if you were just to Google Nutmeg Notebook po nachos, then you will find the recipe. It's printable. It's on my blog and it's absolutely delicious. This is good on top of your tacos. Or sometimes I will take the corn tortillas and I will air fry those, no oil, nice and crispy, and then we can make nachos with them. So you can put beans on them or refried beans or just canned beans. If you season the canned beans with a little bit of cumin and chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, then they'll even, you know, have more flavor. Then you can put some shredded lettuce on top, some jalapenos, some olives, some green onions, and some cilantro, fresh cilantro. It is absolutely delicious. This is also good over baked potatoes. So just steam some broccoli, take your baked potato, put the broccoli on the baked potato, and then put the cheese sauce over the top. Now, the original recipe for this cheese sauce calls for potatoes and carrots. If you want it to stay creamier, we have found that if we use butternut squash instead, or like I did yesterday, I used a sweet potato to make this sauce. It's so creamy and it doesn't set up as hard as when we make it with potatoes and carrots. To reheat this, you can add just a little bit of your favorite plant milk and in a saucepan and stir it with a wire whisk and heat it up on the stovetop, or just gently heat it in the microwave. So instead of on power 10, you know, try power 6, put a little plant milk in it. It also freezes really well. So if it makes a lot, you can cut the recipe in half. If you make more than you can eat in about, you know, 5 or 6 days, then go ahead and divide it up into like half-cup size containers and pop it in your freezer. Thaw it out, and if it separates a little bit, add a tiny little bit of plant milk to it and whisk it, and it will just go back together beautifully. You can also freeze hummus. And so I didn't need to make hummus today because the last time I made hummus, I made a double batch and I froze it in half-cup size containers. And so I have that all ready to go. I pulled one out, so let me get this out and show you. See, and then I label it garlic hummus. And so I have this ready to go. And I pull out just that single serving at a time. But this actually will last me, unless I'm just doing veggies with hummus, this will last me for 2 or 3 days. I like to use it as a topping for a hot baked potato or a cold baked potato. So, or if you want something more kind of like chip-like to dip in it, I'll take my already cooked potatoes and I'll slice them into rounds, put them in the air fryer until they're crispy, and then you've got like a dipper for the hummus or for the cheese sauce. It's so delicious, you guys. Super easy to do. And when I'm making things like cheese sauce or hummus, the trick that I learned from Chef AJ is to take your empty spice containers and save them. Take the labels off, wash them, run them through the dishwasher. And then for those things that you make frequently, like I make hummus and I make the chipotle nacho cheese sauce, various things that I make, I go ahead and fill up like 4 of the spice bottles with the spices all at one time for that one particular recipe. Then the next 4 times that I go to make it, I don't have to drag out all those spices. It's a huge, huge time saver and something that has worked really well for us. I love to cook, but I want to work smarter, not harder in the kitchen. It takes a lot to make all of these meals, and I want to be as simple as it can be because I want the easiest choice to also be the healthiest choice when it comes to mealtime. And to do that for me, I need to have things batch prepped in advance so that that can happen. So I'm just gonna check and see what y'all are saying. Colleen says, I love beets in a salad. I do too, it's so good. Rich says, Costco's tofu is getting up close to $7, but it's not quite that yet for $4, and it is organic. Yes, it is organic. And we do want the soy products that we use, you guys, we do want those to be organic because they're heavily used with pesticides to grow soybeans. And they use a lot of the Roundup. And so we don't want that to be in our food. And so, and the soybeans absorb it. So we don't want to have non-organic soy products. So, you know, that's one of those things where it's pretty important to get organic. Krista says beans are a great source of plant-based protein. Kat said, what other plant-based protein sources do you like besides tofu and tempeh? Well, believe it or not, Kat, everything that we eat has a certain amount of protein in it. So protein isn't exactly its own food group, which I know we were taught in elementary school that it was, but it really is not. So the vegetables have protein in them. Broccoli, believe it or not, has quite a bit of protein in it. Quinoa is very high in protein. Our potatoes, our squash, everything that we eat has protein in it. So the more variety of it that we have in our diet on a daily basis, the better. So, you know, we don't hear about protein deficiency very much in the US. As long as we're getting enough calories and enough variety, we should be able to get enough protein. Now, they do say as we age that our body has less ability to absorb all of that protein, and perhaps we need to eat more. I know that oftentimes if you're around older people, can I say that I'm 65? Maybe I'm one of those older people. You know, appetites do start to be reduced and we eat a less volume of food. So, you know, if we are a little bit older and we've noticed that we don't eat the same volume of food that we used to, then we might need to be more cognizant about how much protein we're getting and making sure that we're getting some tofu, some beans. Legumes are a great source for protein. That can be lentils, it can be peas, it can be beans, and you know, there's a huge variety of those. You can include quinoa in your diet on a regular basis. It's very high in protein as well. But you know, we get sufficient plant protein as long as we're eating a wide variety of foods. If you're concerned about it though, you can always get an appointment with a plant-based doctor or a plant-based dietitian and keep track, do a food diary for a couple of weeks so that they can see. You can also use one of the free online calorie counters. If you just Google free calorie counters, then you can usually calculate all your different nutrients, plug in what you ate for, it's a good idea to do things over a week or 2 weeks time, because maybe we don't necessarily eat the exact same foods every day. One day you might be lower in protein, one day you might be a little bit higher in protein, and then just check it by doing that. Okay, Francie says, this is so helpful. Thank you. You are so welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. So let's see. Cindy says, how long is it safe to keep cooked rice, quinoa, and potatoes in the refrigerator? Potatoes, you can look up on Google and see what the FDA says. We find that it has been perfectly fine to keep potatoes for 7 days. When we cook rice, quinoa, oat groats, things of that nature, we go ahead and we will put one container in the refrigerator that we can use up in 2 to 3 days, and then the rest we put in the freezer. So oat groats, quinoa, our rices, all of those grains, we will batch prep them, but we will freeze them and then we'll pull them out and try to eat them up in a couple of days. So there is a really nice book called Fridge Love that you can get, and it's like a great manual for your kitchen, and she talks all about the refrigerator, the freezer, and how long everything will last in the refrigerator or in the freezer for you. So I highly recommend that book. You can buy it on Amazon. We have it in our Amazon shop, or you can see if your local library has it. And then of course, you know, so much free information is available on the internet, and the government does have resources as well about food safety, so you can look that up as well. A lot of things also depend on if your refrigerator is functioning properly, is it at the right temperature, and then there's different places to put food in the refrigerator to ensure that it will last longer. The things that are in the doors or in the front of the refrigerator are not going to stay as cold. Also depends, like if you have kids or grandkids at home and they stand there with that refrigerator open for a long time, that creates an imbalance in the temperature. The temperature inside your refrigerator then goes up, and you might find that some things spoil because of that. And so, you know, like salad dressing should go at the back of the refrigerator. There's lots of tips in the Fridge Love all about that. Okay, so Irene Shia says, do you have any sauces that you put on the meal preps? Yes. So I recently posted about the Alfredo sauce. I have a delicious Alfredo sauce that is made with cauliflower and nutritional yeast and some spices, and super simple and easy to use, and that can be used as a sauce on any of this. Would be delicious. You can use it with your zucchini noodles. You can use it with pasta. I have a marinara sauce that I make. I have a lemon dill dressing that's also like a dip. It's also absolutely delicious. You can make that. My ranch dressing, my Caesar dressing. I have a creamy balsamic dressing that is really popular in our plant-based community. People love that one as well. The nacho cheese sauce, I also have a plain cheese sauce. You can use my recipe for the chipotle nacho cheese sauce, and you can leave out the spicier spices in there. So the smoked paprika, the chipotle chili powder, you could leave those out, and then you would have a more mild cheese sauce with that. And then we also love the wide variety of flavored vinegars from California Balsamic. So I have a link to purchase these in the show notes. So underneath this video where it says more, if you click on there, all the things that I've talked about today as far as products, we have links for them. The recipes that I've talked about, just Google Nutmeg Notebook Alfredo sauce, Nutmeg Notebook Chipotle nacho cheese sauce, Nutmeg Notebook marinara. I have salsa recipes as well. And so those really help with the flavoring, especially if you've given up salt, oil, and sugar. They can make a really big difference in the flavoring of foods. We also need to remember that at first, when you first adopt this lifestyle, it can feel hard until everything becomes a habit. And that just is going to take practice. That's going to take consistency. And it's kind of like when you're first learning how to drive a car, you have so many things that you have to think about. I mean, I taught both of our kids how to drive. And at first, you know, it's like, oh, I have to put the key in and I have to turn it on. And oh, I have to adjust my rear view mirror and my side mirrors. And I have to pay attention to the speed limit. And oh, I got to turn my blinker on. You're having to think about your choices and your decisions constantly when you first learn to drive. Then after, you know, a few months, it just becomes natural. It becomes your normal habit. You don't have to think about it. You just automatically do those things. It's the same way when we adopt this plant-based lifestyle. At first, we're having to think about it a lot. Every meal, right? At least 3 times a day, we're having to think about it. Would it be okay if I pull the chair over and you can lower the camera maybe?
And then I put those links in the show notes also.
Okay,
now,
thanks.
When you get to that question.
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to grab one thing, I think. Let me see. Oh, here. I'll just grab this. All right. So it's the same way when you adopt this lifestyle. At first, you're thinking about the food. Every time you go to eat, you go grocery shopping, you're having to think about it. It takes a while to get used to it. So I've been whole food plant-based since 2013. So I've had a long time to figure it out. And, you know, we don't practically don't have to make a grocery list when we go to the grocery store unless I'm making something special, because we know what our eating style is. We know how we like to eat all week. And so we're basically buying pretty much the same thing every week. Now, the produce changes as the seasons change, but we know quantity-wise also how much we need to buy. And so we don't have to think about it so hard anymore. Also, I don't make a new recipe every day for us to eat. Now, I know that some people do. Some people make 7 different breakfasts, 7 different lunches, and 7 different dinners every week. I don't do that. So we eat 2 meals a day. We eat lunch, and then we eat our dinner. And for lunch, we do a chopped salad. Let me grab you a chopped salad. So I did not batch prep salads today because we still have 5 left. And so we don't need to buy salad ingredients right now. So these are our batch prepped salads. And so we make these once a week and they last for 7 days. And so we each have one of these every day. I usually have mine at lunch. Tom likes to have his at dinner time. And so that makes it really easy. I make 14 salads in 30 minutes. I have a video showing you how I do that. You'll want to, when you Google Nutmeg Notebook Batch Prep Salads, you'll want to watch the most recent video because it has what we currently put in that salad. And I tell you why we use what we use, because it lasts the longest. And that salad can be eaten just as it is. It can be chopped up, which is what we do. We like to chop it up because it tastes better. It's easier to eat. And then we add some of these ingredients to it. We add fruit, we add beets, we add vegetables, rice, potatoes, whatever, you know, we decide we want that day. We can flavor them differently by our choices. We can make it taste Mediterranean or Italian or Mexican or, you know, Americana. We can do Greek with a falafel, a oil-free falafel and some hummus. And so that's super easy. We know exactly what we need to buy for those 14 salads every week. We come home, we make them, and then they're in the refrigerator ready to go. It's the easiest choice, and it's also the healthiest. It's the easiest because the prepping has already been done, and it's super healthy because it's packed full of low calorie density vegetables, and then we just add our starches to it and some fruit, and then we have a complete meal. We don't even have to think about it. So right there, that's 14 meals, 7 for each of us, that we don't have to think about. We just know exactly what we're going to have. And then our other meal, it would be my evening meal. Tom usually has some kind of a soup at lunchtime. He makes his dump soup, which we have a video for that as well, so you can check that out. And it's full of vegetables. It's very low calorie density. It has a lot of broth. He makes it in the Instant Pot. It's become a very, very popular recipe within the plant-based community as well. And so he doesn't have to think about that. We know exactly what we need to buy for his dump soup every week, and that's a slam dunk. If he doesn't have his dump soup, then he'll have something from the batch prepped ingredients that I have made, or we always have soups made ahead of time and frozen in our freezer. When I make a recipe on my batch prepping, I will double the recipe. So if it's, you know, like my taco lentils, I make in a 6-quart Instant Pot. It makes a lot. I make a lot of soups in my 8-quart because that way we can put some in the refrigerator to eat during the week and the rest goes in the freezer. And so I'm always rotating what I'm making. So we always have probably 4 or 5 choices that we can choose from in our freezer. And I freeze them in the super cubes. We have a video all about super cubes. And we freeze them in 2-cup containers. Once they're frozen, we pop them out of the silicone containers and put them in freezer bags. And then we always have easy choices. So Tom calls it our fast food. We create our own fast food so that we always have healthy food on hand. If something happens, if one of us gets sick or the grandkids get sick, or we need to, you know, go help family members, whatever it might come up, because, you know, that's life happens, then we're always covered. Even if we can't make it to the grocery store for a few days, we've got enough stuff in our freezer that we could eat off of our freezer for absolutely weeks. We have frozen vegetables, we have frozen fruit in there, and then we have all of the batch prepped items that I'm always continually making. And even if you're a single person, cooking for 1 or you're cooking for 2 like I am, you can freeze so many things and have that nice variety, and that way you don't have to be in the kitchen every day. If I make a double batch of something, hummus, cheese sauce, a soup, a lentil loaf, then I only have to clean up 1 time, but I get twice as much food. I mean, it just makes sense to do that for us. Okay, let's see. Francie wants to know, what supplements do you take? So we take our vitamin D3, and this is the brand that we get. And we have these listed on our Amazon storefront, and it's amazon.com/nutmeg/shop/nutmegnotebook. We have a link in the show notes. And then we also take our B12. So these are the 2 supplements that we take every day. And I just put them out in a little pill thing, and then we know, you know, Monday's here. Did I take my pills? Yes, I did. Belinda says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Yes, please. Thank you, Belinda. Oh, yeah, this is my little pill thing.
That's a senior citizen.
That's a senior
tool.
citizen tool, yeah. And Sunday, you can see I have not taken them yet, all right? And so this is just a good little reminder for us so that we can remember. Stephanie says, join late. Are those roasted vegetables? And if so, how do you reheat them? They are roasted vegetables. So you could reheat these in the air fryer. You can put them in a skillet with a little bit of vegetable broth if you want, or you can microwave them. Now, I will eat them hot or I will eat them cold, either way. And you'll be able to watch the replay of this as soon as we're done and be able to go back and catch it. The recipe is on the blog. It's called Oil-Free Oven Roasted Vegetables. And then you guys, we have a whole class that's all about batch prepping. So this is batch prepping with Tami Kramer. And this is my, how many years now? 11 years worth of experience at batch cooking. Chef AJ calls me the batch cooking queen. And so this is full of ideas on what you should have in your pantry, how to organize your cupboard, your refrigerator, your freezer, lots of ideas about batch prepping, and then recipes. Lots and lots of recipes. Then, and here's the Ultimate Caesar salad dressing. Oh, this is the curry ginger butternut squash soup. This is perfect for the holidays coming up, the lentil loaf. And then let me show you in the back, we have all kinds of ideas. I think there's 25 different meals listed here to give you variety, to show you what you can make, how you can take batch prepped foods and make meals from them. And so we have a discount code for you, Nutmeg30, and you can save 30% off. So it's a course that you take at your own speed. You have access to, I think it's 32 videos. Is it 32 videos? Yeah, Tom's shaking his head.
Yeah, 32 videos in like 17 hours of instruction or something.
Yeah, and then I go through, we video recorded me doing a huge batch prep one day that's also included in there, and I show you, how to make rice and potatoes and all the basics, as well as links to videos for a lot of recipes as well. And there's over 50 recipes in there as well to help you figure out how to batch prep, why we should batch prep, and just how to work smarter, not harder in your kitchen. Also,
I did put the vitamin links down in the show notes.
Okay, Tom put the vitamin links under the show as well. Also, you guys, I wanted to let you know, we love the local spicery spices. Tom, I don't know if you can get a close-up of this. Hello, cameraman. So these, the company is a local company to us. It's just in Marysville, about a 30-minute drive from where we live. These are the spices that I love, that I use in my cooking. And we recently, just a few days ago, we posted a brand new recipe for a mushroom oat groat risotto. It has Instant Pot directions as well as stovetop directions. And the wonderful people, Nick and Evelyn at Local Spicery, are giving you guys a discount code. The code is Nutmeg for the salacious.
No, it's notebook.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's notebook. Notebook.
If you do nutmeg, you're going to get nothing.
Notebook. The discount is notebook. My brain cannot keep up with my mouth this morning. So you get a 10% discount on the spices, the seasonings that I used in that risotto recipe. So one is the salacious. This is a salt substitute. This is the most salty flavoring of salt substitutes that are natural that we have tasted. So this is absolutely positively one of our favorites. I use this like almost every day because it has a nice salty flavor to it. But they mill everything in small quantities. So until the end of November, you can get a 10% discount on the local spicery, Salacious, their milled garlic, the milled onion, and the thyme. So I use the onion and the garlic all the time, and I love thyme. It's so good. It's used in the oat groat risotto recipe. I think you guys, if you haven't tried that, some people have already tried it and emailed me and told me that they love it. It's super delicious and it has a lot of variations. You can do so much with it. But anyway, use the discount code notebook and save 10% on those spices. And it's just those, it's the thyme, the milled onion, the milled garlic, and the Salacious salt substitute until the end of November. So get those because they're delicious and those are basic ones that you will use all of the time. If you think that you're really gonna like this, which I think you will, you can buy refill bags instead of the jars. So, and you'll save a little bit of money if you get the seasonings in the bags. If you have your own spice jars, then you don't have to be paying for the cost of the jars. But if you don't already have jars, get them in the jars, and then when you reorder, then you can get the bags to refill your jars. So, which is a really great way to do it. Yeah, so Tom put that in the notes for us. Laura says, Tom, thanks for the links. Do you guys have any questions about batch cooking? You know, it's all about a mindset. I want to say that batch cooking is easy. Let's say batch cooking is simple. It might not necessarily be easy to begin with, but once you get the hang of it, then it's easy. So it's only hard in the beginning until it becomes a habit. Once it becomes a habit, then it becomes really easy. So I'm curious about how many of you are already batch prepping your food. Can you let me know in the comments if you guys batch prep, and do you cook every day? Because I don't cook every day. So I'll have my salad for my lunch. I don't know if I finish that thought process. And then for my dinner, I might make nachos with the potatoes and the chipotle nacho cheese sauce. Or I might have some of this oven roasted vegetables with some tofu and a whole bunch of greens. Or sometimes I might only eat half of my salad at lunch and then I'll have half of it left over for dinner. And so I'll just augment it with, you know, some of the batch prepped things. Sometimes I'll make a green smoothie. Like in the summer, a lot of times when it was triple digit heat, you know, we just really didn't want something heavy at the end of the day when it was super hot. And so I would just make a huge blender full of a mango smoothie for us. You can find that recipe is on the blog, and we would have that. Or pull a soup out of the freezer and have that. Just, you know, what's interesting, and I don't think a lot of people realize, is that those of us who blog and YouTube about this lifestyle, we are not making recipes every day. Chef AJ, myself, Shada, so many of the other people who do what I do, we eat very basic, very simple recipes, unless we're recipe testing and, you know, coming up with something new that somebody has requested, or we are cooking for company. Otherwise, we eat very simple, very basic food, and we're very happy with it. So, because I'm a foodie, I have loved cooking. I started cooking when I was 10, and I love cooking, but I don't want to spend all of my time in the kitchen making meals. That's just not what I want to do with my time. We have 3 very busy, very active grandchildren right now who are doing sports and piano and choir and all kinds of things. And so we help get them where they need to go. And we love going and watching them, you know, do all the activities that they do. And I don't want to be stressed about what am I going to eat at the end of the day if I've been gone all day. Having great fun with my grandkids. And so it's great that I have neuroadapted and now can enjoy just really plain, simple food because it tastes so delicious to me. And so there is a period of neuroadaptation that occurs when you go plant-based and you're giving up a lot of foods that, you know, you realize now are not healthy for you, that you need to no longer consume. And when you start eating this new diet, it can take a while because we're giving up salt, oil, and sugar. And, you know, all of those things are not found together in nature in any of these plants that we eat. And so our sense of taste has been ruined by processed foods, because processed foods are high in salt, oil, and sugar, maybe all three, or depending on what we're eating, maybe just one. And so when they're highly processed, that food gets absorbed into our bloodstream fast. We get a huge dopamine hit. In fact, the processed food companies hire scientists who figure out the bliss point of, let's say, Lay's potato chips, Doritos, crackers, cookies, that processed food. They figure out what the exact amount of salt, oil, and sugar is required to create a huge bliss point, which gives us a huge dopamine release, which our brain loves. And then it keeps telling us, I want more, I want more, I want more. And the more of it we have, the more of it it takes to give us that dopamine hit. And so when we give that up, then we have to go back to square one, starting over with what does food taste like and what is going to give us that dopamine hit and that pleasure. And so we might have to do something other than just food to get that. Exercise, listen to beautiful music, you know, a craft, learn a new language, sewing, whatever it might be, playing a sport. Pickleball's really big right now. Tom and I just started taking Pilates classes this past summer. We are loving it, absolutely loving it. And what a difference it's making in our strength. Also, they have balance classes that we've taken. We're learning, you know, how to improve our balance as we are aging. Our arm strength, our leg strength is getting so much more. I think that it has improved my posture. As many of you know, I have scoliosis, and you know, which is curvature of the spine, and I just feel like my posture is better, my back aches less. You know, and that gives us a dopamine hit. When we do our Pilates class. There's just 12 people in our class. They have amazing music that they play while the instructor tells us what to do. And, you know, that's been a really great thing. So the focus is no longer in our lives all revolving around food. Food is important. We enjoy it. We want to enjoy our food. We want to have colorful, delicious food, but it's not the main event in our lives. Activities, friends, being with family, you know, those have become our main events, and that's so important. Okay, Tom says, I want more dump soup, but it's already 1 o'clock. What should I do? Eat a salad, because it's the healthiest, easiest choice. Doesn't require, Tom says he feels more handsome since he started doing Pilates. Tom, you're too funny. Oh, yes. And Francie says, and now AI is creating even tastier food. Oh, I don't doubt it, Francie. You're probably right. Wow, it's so crazy. Francie says, do you enjoy Thanksgiving foods? I do, absolutely, and we can have those. So I have also, you guys, I have a cooking for company class, not a class, it's a cooking for company ebook that you can get. You can also save 30% on this by using the code nutmeg30. And I have 10 different menus in here for cooking for company. So you can make any of these meals for your friends who are not plant-based, and they are going to love them. And then we have the recipes. They have a QR code down them that you can use to go to the video, where we have a video showing how to make the recipes. I give you a timeline on how to cook the food, what can be made ahead of time, what needs to be made the day of. These are the 10 most popular cooking for company recipe menus that I use repeatedly for family and friends. And so that's a good resource for you as well. And I think there's over 50 recipes in that book as well. Probably more than that. I can't remember. Tom, do you remember how many recipes are in this one? I can't remember now. Tons of, oh yeah, there's well over 50. But anyway, so I have a holiday blog post, holiday recipes blog post on Nutmeg Notebook. So if you were to Google Nutmeg Notebook holiday recipe roundup, then Google would find that page for you. And we have garlic mashed potatoes with a mushroom gravy, a cranberry sauce, a pumpkin dessert, or my apple oat crisp, a wonderful lentil loaf with a date glaze. It's absolutely delicious. It was featured in a magazine, and in fact, the editor of the Health Science magazine contacted me before it was published and said, oh my gosh, we are loving your recipes. She had made the lentil loaf like 2 or 3 times already before it ever got published in the magazine. So yes, absolutely. We make special foods for the holidays. I have a lasagna that my family absolutely loves, and even the non-vegan people will love it and eat it and not even realize that it's vegan. It's so delicious. That recipe is in both of these books, as well as available for free on my website at nutmegnotebook.com. So we make I make a cranberry relish that's delicious. And so yes, of course, we love the holidays, and I make special foods for the holidays. I just don't cook like that on a weekly basis. You know, the most complicated thing that I make on a weekly basis is usually a soup. Now, yesterday we wanted Mexican food before we had to head out to go to 3 different soccer games in the afternoon. So for lunch, I just sauteed a ton of vegetables, everything that we had in the fridge that needed to be used up, and added black beans to it. And I made kind of like a Mexican lasagna with that, and used tortillas and just the green enchilada sauce. I have a recipe for it on the blog, and just layered it in a casserole and baked it. And that's what we had for lunch. But that will feed us for several meals now. We will have that. And so, but that's like the most complicated thing that I'll probably make this week. And it wasn't even complicated. You know, it took me like 30 minutes to throw it together, and then another 30 minutes to bake it. So, but no, we make special foods. If I'm having company, you know, then I'll make all kinds of things. My lasagna and my Ultimate Caesar salad dressing, and I'll buy a loaf of bread and make a nice, like a chocolate dessert. And my family loves that meal. Everybody loves that salad dressing too, the Ultimate Caesar salad dressing. And you can get that recipe on the blog at nutmegnotebook.com. So absolutely. Francie says, ooh, yum, wow. I have a lentil shepherd's pie that's delicious. The filling is lentils in kind of a gravy sauce with veggies, and then garlic mashed potatoes baked on top of it. It is absolutely amazing. We always look forward to having that for the holidays as well. The marinated portobello mushrooms, you can just cook those on a stovetop grill. I just have a grill pan that it looks like a very elegant meal, along with garlic mashed potatoes or the twice baked potatoes, the vegan ranch twice baked potatoes, and then some fresh asparagus or fresh broccoli on the side. So, if it's our anniversary or a birthday or something like that, I'm going to make us a special meal, or if we're having family or friends over. But for just weekly, we're really happy with all the foods that you see here. More simple, easy to put together, and don't discount those frozen fruits and vegetables, you guys. The cleaning has already been done for you. The chopping has already been done for you. And if you only need a small amount, the rest isn't going to go bad. So if I buy that big bag of broccoli at Costco, which I absolutely love, I need to use that all up before it spoils. If you buy the frozen broccoli, you can open the bag, you can pull out exactly how much you want and cook it, and then put the rest back in the freezer. So you have very, very little waste. So if you're finding that at the end of the week that you're throwing a lot of food away, then you need to recalibrate and do something different. Make a note of it. I can't finish that big bag of broccoli from Costco. Maybe you just need to buy a bag of broccoli at Trader Joe's or at your Walmart. Buy a head of organic broccoli if they have it, or just regular, whatever they have, and eat that. So you start to figure out over time what works best for you and how much you should buy. Initially, it can be a little more daunting, but you have to figure it out. Just like when I first started cooking when I was a new bride 45 years ago, I had to figure it out. It took a while, but also remember that people generally only need 10 to 12 recipes or 10 to 12 different meals, and then they just automatically rotate those. Now, I know I totally did that when I was raising a family. When our kids were little, I had an Italian night, we had a Mexican night, we had breakfast one night for dinner. I had my schedule, my routine, and my menu that I did when I was cooking for a family. And, the kids had their favorite things, and I just rotated what the favorites were. And of course, that changes a little bit seasonally. But we need to keep it simple, not make it too complicated. So Kathy says, I get 2-pound bags of fresh broccoli at Sam's, and I buy 4 bags, and I eat it all during the week. That's awesome. I think that's awesome. And see, and that works for you. And so that's great. I also find sometimes, you guys, if you have Sam's Club and you have Costco, and you are only cooking for 1 or 2 people, like the containers of grapes and some different things that Sam's Club has, some of those things come in smaller quantities than what I get at my Costco. So now we do have the grandkids over here at different times, and so I'm buying extra things because I know I'm going to be sharing them with the grandkids as well. Jessie says, I love you guys. Thank you, Jessie. We love you too. Thanks for showing up. Jessie is one of our moderators. So she says she's doomed. She's not good at holding up to any standards. I doubt that, Jessie. So the broccoli, I love the fresh broccoli. Sometimes I will make a meal out of potatoes and just broccoli. It can be Yukon Gold potatoes. It can be a sweet potato. Sometimes I just want potato and greens, and it's really, really good. So delicious. Debbie says, does anyone know what temperature Tami sets the oven on for the starches? 400 degrees usually. So you just need to check your oven and see what works best with your oven, because some ovens run hot, some run cooler, and so you just have to figure out what works best for your oven. But 400 is what works really well for mine. So let's see. Stephanie says, I batch prep and freeze smoothies in 7 freezer containers, so I have a week's worth. Otherwise, I just wouldn't do it daily. That's awesome. So I did learn from Dr. Goldner that you can make a big pitcher of smoothies, and it's okay to keep them in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And so you still get all the nutritional benefits from them. So sometimes I'll make a big batch of smoothie and divide it up into containers. And that way, you know, if I know we're having a busy day tomorrow, it's something that we can grab and go. We can take it with us as well. All right. Francie says she loves the new Kraft boxed mac and cheese. They do have a vegan one. We have not tried that. And so Stephanie just takes her frozen smoothies and puts it in the refrigerator, and then it thaws out for the next day. That's great. What a good idea. I've also know people that put together smoothie packets, and so they'll put their fruit, their flax and their chia and their greens in like a gallon size freezer bag, and they'll prep those ahead. That way all they have to do is throw it in the blender each day, and that can be helpful as well. So lots of different ways that we can do it, you guys. So I'm just curious, did anybody say? Karen batch preps some things, other things she makes every day. It just depends on what it is. Yeah, and so what I do, you guys, is, you know, I always do starches for the week because we're usually out of them by the end of the week. Occasionally I might have something left over. Just depends on how, you know, how the meals went that week. But I'll look in my refrigerator and see what needs to be used up. And then at the end of the week, I can make, you know, oven roasted veggies with potatoes. I can, you know, make sure that the fruit gets eaten, the fresh fruit that we have, you know. So it's a good idea a couple times a week to check your refrigerator. If you have more than one, we have one out in the garage as well as the one here. And it's a good idea because I'll forget what I've got in there to go look in that other refrigerator, and then I'll go, oh my gosh, you know, I've got a zucchini squash that we need to use up, or this or that. And that will give me an idea of what I should make next. Then also, I'll make things as we run out. So, you know, if we need a salad dressing, and honestly, most of the time we're using vinegars, different vinegars for our salads, but sometimes we want the ranch or we want the lemon dill. And so I'll make those kinds of things on an as-needed basis. The same with the rice, the quinoa, the oat groats. That's on an as-needed basis. So when we're getting down, either the last one is in the freezer of soup or taco lentils or some kind of grain, that's our clue. We need to make more, and then we'll replenish it. So I used to do, way back in like 2015 or so, I was doing like massive mega batch prepping day, you know, where I would spend like 5 hours batch prepping food. I no longer do that. You know, I think it's just because things have gotten simpler and easier for me over time. And that was back when our daughter, her twins had just been born. And we were, you know, at her house every day helping with the 3 kids. And so and I was there like usually 12 hours a day, and I needed all of my batch prep to be done for the week. And I had to do it on the weekend so that I could devote my time to my daughter and her family. But now, you know, the kids are older and she doesn't need us every day. And so now my batch prepping is so much easier because I can do a little bit like I did today. And then, you know, in a couple days, if we run out of something, then I can just replenish it. And that's how we just flow. Just like we didn't need salads today, because we still have 5 salads, so we won't buy the ingredients for salads until we need to make them, because we want those salads to be able to last for a week. So that's just smart prep, smart shopping, and that's just what works best for us right now. Alrighty, I gotta scroll up, see if I've missed anything. Okay. Oh, yeah, Tom does often ask me, do you have plans for this or can I use it in my dump soup? Which is also nice that he makes his dump soup, because then if I'm not getting to something that I thought I was, then Tom can use it up in his dump soup. Sometimes I make my own version of dump soup, if you will. And if we have leftover cabbage, we have zucchini, we have onions, we have whatever, kind of like dark leafy greens, bell peppers, whatever it might be, I will just throw all of that in a pot with some canned tomatoes and some vegetable broth and turn it into a soup. I'll add garlic and onion to it, but I won't add specific seasonings other than that, because then once it's cooked, I'll just pressure cook it for like 5 minutes. I don't even add beans to it. It's totally just a vegetable soup, and usually I don't put any starch in that. And then I divide it up into our 2-cup super cubes, and then I'll freeze it. And when I thaw it out is when I'll decide, is it going Italian? Is it going to be Mexican? If I just need like a hot veggie soup just to have, with a potato or something, I might just leave it plain. But most of the time I can add tofu, I can add beans, I can add white beans and Italian seasonings, and I can add, a little bit of quinoa or rice to it if I want to take it that direction. If I have some butternut squash that I've roasted, I can throw that in it. If I want it to be Mexican, I can do black beans and brown rice, and then I'll add Mexican seasonings to it. Oh, for the Italian, I'll add Italian seasonings to it. And so, I can just take that basic soup base any direction, depending on what I'm in the mood for that day. But then I've used up those veggies. So if I have a bunch of dark leafy greens left over, I'll wait until after I have cooked it in the Instant Pot for 5 minutes, and I'll chop up spinach or kale or whatever it is that I have, and then I'll throw it in, because I don't need it to get, pressure cooked. And then it's delicious. So it's a good way to use up any veggies that you have in the refrigerator left over at the end of the week, before you go buy new and fresh. And so many things can be frozen, you guys. The cheese sauce, salad dressings, hummus. If you have leftover peppers, onions that need to be eaten, lemons, limes, all of these things can be frozen. Jalapeno peppers. I will buy, like 6 jalapenos or serranos or whatever the grocery store has, and then I will bring them home and I will wash them, dry them, put them in freezer bags, and I'll pop them in my freezer. That way, because they'll go bad fairly quickly, that way if I'm not going to get to them right away, it's okay. So like yesterday for the enchilada bake that I made, I just took a jalapeno out of my freezer and thawed it out in my microwave at low power, and then added it to that dish. And so, it was great because it's so handy dandy. Lemons and limes, if I'm not getting the fresh ones used up, like this morning, I put 6 of them in a freezer bag and popped them in my freezer because I thought, okay, we haven't used these up yet. I don't have time to juice them because I really wanted to go for my 4-mile walk and I didn't want to be in the kitchen all morning. And so I just popped them in the freezer. I will actually get more juice out of them after I have thawed them out from being frozen than I would if I had squeezed the juice out of them today. Because when they're in the freezer, those cells expand when it's freezing and kind of burst. And so when I thaw it out, I will get more juice out of each one of them. And so I've got some freezer kitchen hack videos. So be sure to watch those for some more like time saving and food saving tips. You can freeze avocados. If you buy avocados and they are ripe and you are not going to get them eaten, you can go ahead and freeze them. Costco used to sell a bag of frozen avocados that were cut into chunks. And so, you know, there's so many things that you can freeze and save. It's amazing. Bell peppers, I buy those big bags of organic ones when Costco has them. And then if I'm not going to get them used up, I can either freeze them whole and then thaw them out and use them in something cooked, or I can cut them up if I have the time and put them in the freezer in a baggie, and then I will have them ready to go for a stir fry, a soup, whatever it might be. Same with celery, onions, all of those. Just remember, they are not going to be crunchy. The celery is not going to be crunchy after it's been frozen, but they're great to use in casseroles or soups or a stir fry, something where you're going to be cooking it. Jessie says, can raw green beans be frozen? Jessie, I think that you have to blanch them first. So I think you have to look it up on Google, but I think that you have to pop them in boiling water for a minute or two and then put them in an ice bath. So I think that's what you have to do. I have not tried to freeze my own green beans, but that's what I think that you have to do. But I could be wrong. So, okay, Apple O'Day says, bags of frozen avocados are fantastic. I'm so tired of wasting my money on fresh avocado that is ripe for 37 seconds. You are right, Apple O'Day. That is exactly right. It's so hard to find a ripe one when you're in the store. And so our grandkids love fresh avocado. And so if I know ahead of time that I'm going to have them for a meal, I will go to the store and try to find ripe ones. And you know how sometimes you cut into it and it looks really nasty inside. And so I always have to buy more than what I'm going to use. And you never know. It's a crapshoot until you cut that baby open and see, is it a good one or is it not a good one? And then the unripe ones just turn ripe overnight, and then all of a sudden I will have 4 ripe ones that need to be used. So so make sure that you freeze them, you guys. Jessie says, that thanks, Tammy, that's what I expected. You are welcome. All right, you guys. Any other questions that you have for me before we sign off? Let me know. Don't be afraid to batch cook. Please, if you guys are liking this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. So here's the deal. Our videos, YouTube likes us more when you guys like our videos and when you leave comments, or if you subscribe, then that really helps our channel. Then they recommend us to other people who are watching plant-based videos, and we so appreciate that when you do it. Also, if you use any of the vendors that we have listed down below in the show notes, we do earn a small commission when you do that, and that really helps us. That helps to fund all of the free work that we do here on Nutmeg Notebook. And you know, there's a lot of hidden expenses to doing what we do, and as our site grows, so do our expenses. So we really appreciate it when you guys help us out in that way. And let's see, I'm just looking to see. Krista says, thanks for all the information. You are so welcome. So remember that the things we talked about are underneath this video. We have links to Well Your World, Local Spicery, California Balsamic. Our Amazon storefront is down there. And then also don't forget that we have our courses. Batch Cooking with Tami Kramer. We have Cooking for Company, and we even have this is just a PDF. This one is a course, and then we have a course all about chopped salads as well. Use the code nutmeg30 and you'll save 30% on any of those.
Remember, they can't hear me. Not just a PDF, completely cross-linked videos.
Yes. Oh, so Tom wants me to tell you that this is not just a PDF. This is, we have hyperlinks. So in the front, when you click on any recipe and you go to it, or any menu, then it takes you to that page. If you want to go back to where you started, you can go back there. And then we also have, because it is not just a PDF, this is the sheet pan tofu recipe. Then we have the QR code where you can click on this with your iPhone and it will take you to the original blog post or video that we have. And then it's super easy to use, user-friendly, and if I can figure it out, I know you can too, because I'm not that computer savvy. It's Jessie approved. It is. So Jessie did give us some good suggestions on what she would like to see in a PDF. And so now we are really, and it took a lot of extra hours for Tom to do all that. But we also wanted to create something that would be as easy for you guys as possible. So whether you want to learn how to cook for company, if you want to improve your batch cooking skills, or where's my other one? I don't know. I think it's in here. Or you want to learn how to make beautiful chopped salads, we've got you covered. And so these are really like 3 areas of expertise for me. So this one is also a video course. This has videos as well as recipes for you, all about how to make chopped salads, which is something that I'm also well known for. And then lots of different salad ideas, how to top your chopped salads so that you'll never get bored with them. So Tom and I have been eating a chopped salad. Well, we've been eating a salad every day for one of our main meals since 2013 when we adopted this lifestyle. It's a principle that Dr. Joel Fuhrman teaches, and we adopted that right away, and we've never stopped doing that. Now, the really cool thing about my chopped salads or my batch prepped salads is that you can also cook all of this, which I've done a couple times this past week because I was in the mood for something hot. And so instead of chopping this and having it as a raw salad, I sauteed it in a skillet and then served it over rice, and absolutely delicious. Also, if you didn't see that latest video recipe that we put up for the mushroom oat groat risotto, check that out, you guys. Don't be afraid of it. It's absolutely delicious. I tested it about 4 times in the course of 3 weeks, so we won't be making it for a while because we ate so much of it. But every time we had it, Tom was like, this is really good. It's comfort food, it's satisfying, it's delicious. I hope you guys will give it a try. And the oat groats that we buy are listed in our Amazon shop. So, because a lot of people have been emailing me, asking me, where do you buy oat groats? They're kind of hard to find locally. Our Whole Foods used to carry them in the bulk section, but during the pandemic, they got rid of their bulk section. When they brought it back much smaller, and so they didn't include. Yeah, so if you look, when you go to our Amazon shop, if you look under the pantry section is where you'll find it. It's one of our pantry items, and that link is below the video. click on the more and you'll find it there. Also, on most of my Facebook posts, I do put my Amazon link on my Facebook posts for Nutmeg Notebook, so you can usually find it there if you forget what it is. And it's also listed on our pages on the blog as well. So, Krista says, Tammy and I are salad sisters. That's what she called me on Facebook when I said I ate a salad every day too. I remember that, Krista. That's right. Jessie says the word salad doesn't begin to describe one of Tammy's salads. Thank you, Jessie. And yeah, it's great. Yeah, Winco does have the, Rich points out that Winco does have the oat groats, but they're not organic. And just know that when they've tested oats and oat groats, they are found to be very high in pesticides unless you get the organic. And so I do recommend getting organic oat groats, everyone, so that you're reducing your intake of pesticides. So, okay, I think that's about it. I see that Tom is hungry. We have not had lunch yet, but guess what? We have lots to choose from, and we already have our salads ready to chop and all these yummy things to top it with. So, Jessie, thank you for showing up with us and helping out in the chat. We really appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for being here and watching. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're not a subscriber over on Nutmeg Notebook, go over there and subscribe. Get on our email list. It was the email people got the first notification about the new recipe this past week. And we have a couple more new recipes coming up in the coming weeks, which we're very excited to share with you.
You don't want anybody left out.
No, we don't want anybody left out. Don't be left out. You want to be one of the popular kids and be on that email list.
Oh my goodness.
Tom's cracking up behind the camera. You guys, he can't believe I said that. Yeah, well, I can be silly too, not just you, Tom. Did you want to come say hi to the folks?
I've been talking to him all along.
Oh, he's been talking to you all along. He's going to hide behind the camera. No, here he comes.
I'll just say hi real quick.
There we go.
Real quick. Thanks for everybody working
been
in the
fun.
chat with me. So, and Jessie, thank you for getting here. I appreciate it. When you showed up, the pressure was off. I was so relieved.
Oh, you can't take the pressure. Oh. So Jessie says that she cooks her oat groats on the stovetop al dente and mostly eat them in savory dishes. I do as well. I do not like the oat groats to be mushy. And so we do have an Instant Pot recipe that my friend Sharon McRae shared with me on how to make oat groats and have them come out more like rice. But Jessie, I would be really interested in your stovetop directions for that as well, because I know that not everybody has an Instant Pot.
Is oat groats, what are oat groats video?
I have the oat groat, yeah, what are oat groats video. If you look at the what are oat groats and how do you cook them video on Nutmeg Notebook, and we tell you all about them. And also, I just want to say, I know one more thing. While I was walking this morning, I was listening to Chef AJ's interview with Dr. Greger that she did earlier this week, and he was talking about the new weight loss drugs. And she asked him, well, what do we have that's natural that can help people lose weight? And he said, dark leafy greens, because they have thylakoids, and groats. Well, how about that? So you can have your dark leafy greens every day in a salad or a chopped salad. And then I've got you covered with the oat groat recipe, how to make them in the Instant Pot. I'll find out from Jessie how she makes them on the stovetop. And then check out that new recipe for the mushroom oat groat risotto. So that's what Doctor is recommending that we try. So let's do it. Anything else, Tom? He's ready to push the button. It makes me think of the kids when we're FaceTiming my mom.
I'm just trying to be ready for you.
I know. When we're FaceTiming my mom on the phone, when we're winding down the conversation, the grandkids, start saying, can I push the button? I want to push the button. No, I want to push the button. All three of them want to push the button to sign off. It cracks me up. So anyway, Jessie says she cooks her oat groats free range like Dylan cooks his rice. She fills a stock pot with water and brings the water to a boil, adds the groats, lowers the temperature slightly, and cooks for 30 to 40 minutes. Thank you, Jessie. That is amazing. I have not tried his method for cooking pasta and rice and quinoa and all of that, doing it that way. I'm more hands-off and like the Instant Pot, but that is great. That is so good to know. And I would like to include that on my Instant Pot oat groat recipe page if you would let me. That is good to know, because some people have asked me, if I don't have an Instant Pot, how can I cook them and have them come out like that? I might need a notarized affidavit from her saying that I can share that. Okay, well, anyway.
Or a chat post.
Or a chat post. Maybe she can message me and tell me, yes, you can. Message me, Jessie. Jessie's saying Tom is a hoot. He is so wound up today. I'm not sure what has happened that has created this, but he is really wound up today. All right, you guys, this has been super fun. Thanks a lot for joining me. And I'm Tami. I help you get healthy and stay healthy, one batch prep at a time. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.